The film opens with Jackson, an adventurous soul who is passionately climbing an icy cliff. As he ascends, his thoughts wander to the joys of his family life. Soon, his climb is interrupted by a phone call from his friend Bill, inviting him to serve as a guide on a hunting trip. Jackson, a former Marine now turned nature tour guide, contemplates this offer. After completing his climb, he returns home, only to be met with a shocking scene. His wife is with another man. Overwhelmed with anger, Jackson confronts and fights the man. To his surprise, his wife shows no remorse and berates Jackson for his prolonged absences. In intense emotion, she returns her wedding ring to him and, in a heated exchange, strikes Jackson with a pan. The following day, Jackson returned to the serenity of nature to unwind and clear his thoughts. There, he encountered a tranquil group of deer roaming freely without any disturbances. This serene experience brought peace to his heart. Remembering that Bill had called him the previous day, Jackson decided it was time to visit his friend. Consequently, he arrived in town to meet his friend and checked into a hotel to leave his belongings. As he was about to step into his room, a stunning woman emerged from the neighboring room, casting a curious glance in his direction, instantly capturing his attention. At the same time, on a nearby hill, a team of hired scouts was on the lookout for an aviator. They had learned that the aviator's aircraft had gone down in that vicinity, and they were searching for a briefcase filled with cash and critical papers that the aviator had with him. Later, Jackson visited a local pub and got himself a beverage. To his astonishment, he noticed the charming lady he had seen earlier. She was serving as a waitress, and the pub's proprietor shared her story with Jackson. Later, a cheerful fellow named Murphy struck up a conversation with Jackson. After their chat, Jackson returned to his hotel room to prepare for his job as a hunting guide the following day. Suddenly, he heard a disturbance outside and went out with his rifle. He noticed a woman in distress being hassled by a man. Still, as soon as the man saw Jackson with his gun, he hurried away, and the woman expressed her gratitude to Jackson. The next day, Jackson met up with his friend Bill and was surprised that the guest he would be guiding on a hunt was the same woman he had seen at the bar. Her name was Kate. They exchanged a few words and grew more acquainted. As they walked towards the hill, Jackson curiously asked why she was interested in hunting instead of other activities. Kate shared that her late father had been a hunter, and she wanted to scatter his ashes in these hills. Jackson listened and gently cautioned her that hunting was more challenging than it might appear. After a long journey, they finally arrived at their lodging. Kate, feeling weary, chose to relax. Meanwhile, on a nearby hill, a leader named Ellie was supervising a group of mercenaries searching for a pilot believed to have taken a suitcase containing money and crucial documents. As evening drew near, Jackson suggested to Kate they should get some rest, as they planned to start searching early the following day. Kate proposed splitting up for the search, but Jackson disagreed, citing the dangers of her going alone. He felt a duty to ensure her safety as his guest. Understanding his concerns, Kate consented to rest. Meanwhile, Jackson spent time reflecting on cherished memories with his family. He recalled a poignant memory of playing softball with his daughter, which ended in heartbreak when she was accidentally injured by a passing car. This tragedy led to her passing and strained his relationship with his wife. Jackson and Kate left their tent the next day and began their hunting adventure. Jackson started teaching Kate the basics of being a hunter, like staying calm and quiet when aiming. Meanwhile, on the hill, the mercenaries were still searching for the pilot who had taken the money suitcase. Still, even after 2 days, they had yet to find the pilot. Back to Jackson and Kate. They reached the bottom of a steep hill. Jackson asked Kate to stay below while he went up the mountain to scout for the game. As he climbed, Jackson spotted a group of deer. He planned to hunt using binoculars. He noticed something strange. To his surprise, he found a pilot hanging from a wooden plank. Cautiously, Jackson approached the pilot with his rifle. Upon closer inspection, Jackson discovered a suitcase filled with money and important documents. He also realized the pilot was already dead. Worried, Jackson hurried back down the hill and heard gunshots. It turned out that Kate was trying out a rifle at that time. Jackson asked her to return to the tent since it was getting dark. When night came, Jackson and Kate enjoyed a campfire, but Jackson had yet to tell Kate about what he found on the hill. After chatting for a bit, they decided to rest. The following day, Kate woke up late and asked Jackson why he didn't wake her up. Jackson mentioned that he was thinking of taking Kate back to the hotel, which annoyed her because she came there to go hunting. Unexpectedly, the mercenaries seemed to have found them and began shooting at them. As a former Marine, Jackson fought back, and some mercenaries were killed. Fortunately, Jackson and Kate escape, but Ellie orders her men to chase them. At that moment, Kate was confused and asked what was happening. Jackson finally admitted that he had taken a suitcase with money when he went up the hill the day before, which was why the mercenaries were after them. Upon hearing this, Kate proposed that if they successfully got away, they should divide any found treasure equally. Jackson agreed, but they first needed to handle the mercenaries. Meanwhile, Ellie contacted her assistant Maximus, informing him that Jackson and Kate were headed south through the forest. Maximus hurried to the given location as directed by Ellie. To summarize, Jackson and Kate reached a narrow alley. Shortly after, they heard the sound of a motorcycle. Jackson suspected it was the mercenaries, so he instructed Kate to hide in the trees with a rifle while he confronted the soldiers. His suspicion proved right as two mercenaries appeared on the road. Jackson pretended to be unprepared, but Kate, hidden in the bushes, took them by surprise. However, another soldier caught Kate off guard, but Jackson quickly intervened to protect her. Just as they were about to leave, they were attacked by more mercenaries. Fortunately, Jackson managed to defeat them all again. Kate was amazed and asked Jackson who he was and why he was so skilled with weapons. There, Jackson explained that he used to be a Marine soldier, but chose to retire and become a tour guide for some reason. After that, they decided to keep moving. Soon after, they reached the river's edge and saw a cliff. Jackson suggested climbing to the top of the cliff, even though Kate was initially unsure if she could do it. There, Jackson reassured her, and he planned to go up first to secure a rope for Kate. But as Jackson was about to reach the top of the cliff, Maximus suddenly attacked Kate. Kate fought back with all her strength against Maximus, a great opponent. While they were in a fierce battle, Jackson shot at Maximus from the top of the cliff, causing Maximus to run away to avoid being hit. Afterward, with Jackson's assistance, Kate managed to climb the steep cliff. Despite injuries from an earlier scuffle, she persevered. Jackson tended to her wounds as best he could, bandaging her hurt leg. Leaving the scene behind, they reached an ancient tree atop a hill. Here, Jackson decided to stash a suitcase full of money, intending to retrieve it when the coast was clear. Having secured the money, they returned to their hotel. As night fell, they took a break to rest. The next day, their journey resumed. However, Ellie and her crew cornered them at a cliff's edge. Faced with no other options, Jackson and Kate bravely leaped into the river below. Miraculously, they escaped, drifting away. Unable to follow, Ellie retreated to report to Maximus that Jackson and Kate had run down the river. Fortunately, Jackson and Kate safely reached the riverbank and moved on. They walked through a grassy area and eventually found a road. Shortly after, a car approached. Jackson signaled for it to stop, hoping for a ride. To their surprise, the driver was Murphy, who cheerfully offered them a lift. However, in a clumsy moment, Murphy accidentally bumped Jackson's head, briefly causing him to lose consciousness. Murphy then insisted Kate join them in the car. When Jackson and Kate regained consciousness, they found themselves in a room, tied up. Murphy appeared, inquiring about a suitcase full of money he had heard about. Kate, however, refused to disclose its location. Attempting to get information, Murphy focused on Jackson, but he too would keep the money private. Frustrated, Murphy prepared to threaten Jackson, but Jackson had secretly freed himself earlier. In a quick move, he defended himself and incapacitated Murphy. After that, Jackson rushed to rescue Kate. After freeing Kate, they both hurriedly left the place. Unexpectedly, Ellie and Maximus suddenly appeared, still trying to catch them. Soon after, a fight broke out between the four of them. but Jackson and Kate defeated Ellie and Maximus again. Finally, they could now enjoy the money without anyone pursuing them. At that moment, Kate thanked Jackson for the thrilling hunting experience. The following day, they returned to the Hills' large tree to retrieve the suitcase of money. When they opened it, Kate revealed a box containing her father's ashes. To Jackson's shock, the box hid a gun, and Kate told herself she was a mercenary from a rival group. She had used Jackson to secure the money. After a dramatic turn, Kate left with the suitcase, leaving Jackson behind. The film concludes with a lesson about being cautious about whom you trust, as appearances can be deceiving.